Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the X and Twitter handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley on the X or Twitter handle. Celtic 3, Hearts 0, Daizen Maeda double, taking his tally to 30 goals for the season, and a Jota counter. Clinical and comfortable performance for Celtic, Ryan, was it not? That was quite enjoyable to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, after the first 10-15 minutes, I thought Celtic were absolutely sublime. Hearts came to play. They came to press Celtic. They clearly got inspiration from the way that Rangers played 2 weeks ago. But it was shown very early on that they couldn't keep that going for the 90 minutes, and that if Celtic were given that space on the counter-attack from a press, then they were going to hurt Hearts, and that's what they did. 3 goals probably could have and should have been more. You know, Jeffrey Schlupp had a couple of chances. Rio Hatate had a couple of chances from range. But 3-0, I wasn't complaining about a second half with little happening, because you think of 2 weeks ago, you think of a couple win, couple victory.
Yep, you're ducking in and out of the stream there, Ryan. We kind of got the gist of what you were saying. Give me a second, fella. And we shall say thank you to our sponsors. And as you know, the Celtic Way is brought to you by S1 Jobs. And if it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Glasgow and Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. So start your search today. And we thank S1 Jobs for their sponsorship of the Celtic Way podcast. Ryan, are you still there, sir? Can you still hear us, Ryan? The screen's frozen a wee bit there. You all right?
Stop. Unfortunately, I'm battling the conditions. It was rainy before the game. It was rainy during the game. Now the rain's off, but it's windy. As you can probably see, I'm closer to my tripod as well, because I'm physically holding my tripod so it doesn't fall over. I don't want a You've Been Framed episode to happen here, so that's why I'm holding on to it at the moment. But if you asked me a question there, Tony, I didn't hear it, unfortunately.
So, I was just asking if you were back in the room with us, but you clearly are. Ryan, 2 goals for Daizen Maeda. We'll start with Daizen Maeda. 30 goals for the season. I was making the point on the instant analysis. Give him the new deal. Give him what he wants. Give him the freedom of Glasgow. You build a statue. Do anything. He has to stay at Celtic, doesn't he?
The Futurama meme comes to mind. You know, the shut up and take my money, or it's basically like a shut up and give Daizen Maeda what he wants. Take my credit card, take anything. He deserves that new deal. I think he hit number 30 today for the season for Celtic. Incredible numbers for a player that's, in my opinion, the most improved player under Brendan Rodgers, and he was involved in all 3 goals this afternoon.
Yes, he was.
Great, brilliant ball from the captain for the first goal, in which he sat Craig Gordon down, slotted it past him. The second goal was a great header from Maeda, so unlucky with hitting the post, but Jota's there at the right place at the right time to profit off of a great header. And then the third goal, he's in the right place to profit from Nicholas Kuhn's square ball. 30 goals for the season for Daizen Maeda, topped off by probably one of the best football chants I've heard in recent memory, the Tequila Maeda song. Did somebody order a double? Because it was Maeda at the double this afternoon. Everything that he does is just infectious. He's infectious in front of goal. He's infectious when he's defending with his pressing. He's a joy to watch at the moment for Celtic. And there's a lot of plaudits that will be coming his way towards the end of the season. Not just team accolades, because the league title will be going home to Celtic Park, and there'll also be the chance to potentially win the Scottish Cup. But individual accolades are coming Daizen Maeda's way. He's so far out in front, and in true Maeda fashion, he's ahead of the pack. There's nobody even close to him in the running for Player of the Year, in my opinion. I think he's got a straight run at it from now until the end of the season. The numbers speak for themselves. In my opinion, he will be blessed, or he'll be christened as Scotland's Player of the Year come the end of the season.
I'm going to make 2 points here about the first goal, Ryan. Brilliant pass, as you said, by the captain, but Jeffrey Schlupp's shunt to the captain, which just opens Parkhead up for him, cannot be underestimated. That pass from Jeffrey Schlupp just opened everything up, and the captain played a brilliant slide rule pass. And people talked about Kyogo's movement, which was terrific, and he, as you say, profited a lot from various things. But Daizen Maeda's movement at this moment in time, he's at the top of his game with that, and that's what makes it. The pass from Sloop opens up everything for McGregor. Midfielder sees it in pictures, and that slide rule pass, defence splitter. And when Maeda's running onto that, you know what's going in the back of the net because it's something he's improved greatly upon his game this season. It's his finishing. And the minute Sloop opened that up, I thought Celtic were in here, and sure enough, they were. It's a brilliant goal, clinical three-man move, Ryan.
I thought all three goals were really clinical moves from Celtic. Forward play, forward passing. I guess we'll speak about that more in the third goal in particular. But the second goal, the good ball in from Kuhn to Maeda and then Jota with the finish or the rebound. But yeah, you're right. Jeffrey Sloop, who I thought was having a challenging game for the first 10, 15 minutes. He was getting hemmed in and forced to defend. There was also a great moment towards the end of the half where it looked as if Hearts were maybe going to score a goal to get back in the game, but Sloop puts in a great tackle to put off the attacker from scoring the goal. So it shows that he can do both ends, he can do both sides of the game, but he was bombing forward with ease in that first half. He was another weapon alongside Jota. Him and Jota seem to have this great partnership. I'm just looking forward to next season when we can potentially see Kieran Tierney and Jota in the same left-hand side. That'll be something to behold. But I thought he was brilliant. I thought for the 60 minutes that he was on the park, that was easily an 8, 9 out of 10 from Callum McGregor. That's what we've been missing. That's what you missed against Rangers. That's all he needs to do. And if you're going to manage his games, that's precisely how to play Callum McGregor. Play him 60 minutes, win the game, and then take him off and bring on some of the young guns that are wanting to get on the pitch, such as Bernardo and Luke McCowan as well towards the end of the game. But when Bernardo came onto the pitch, there's a real sort of euphoric moment as if Celtic have missed him. It was great to see him back on the pitch, but a real captain's performance from McGregor today. I was impressed with everything that he did.
I'll ask you about Bernardo, just a quick one. Many times did Bernardo give the ball away today? And if you can remember,
he was perfect.
Correct, he was. I think he was. And that's one for you with your stats bomb. I believe that he didn't give the ball away at all. I could be wrong on that, but loved that from Bernardo. That just fitted seamlessly back in to the system again. Terrific. Now, you mentioned the second goal was a good football goal as well, and great to see Jota following that up. Gudida was really unlucky. Kuhn, I thought, was a bit better today, Ryan. He seemed more like his old self. Didn't do it for the whole of the game, but when he flitted in, he was, in bursts of action, he was very good, and he was creative for the first time in a while.
I was a bit, much like with Sloop, I was quite worried about Kuhn after the opening 10, 15 minutes because he gave the ball away 3 or 4 times. But in previous games, I think he's let that get to him, but he pulled his head up and played on, and I thought he actually had a really good game after that point, especially for the assist for the third goal. Puts it on a plate for Daizen Maeda, but he should have had an assist for the second goal. So unlucky. It's such a great header, a great ball from Nicholas Kuhn. That's him. That's his domain. That's where he wants to be when he cuts inside and plays that pass. Maeda, great header. So unlucky with the post. But Jota's there to finish off the rebound. Jota, who I do not think is fully fit yet. I think we're seeing Jota at maybe 70, 75% of what he's capable at this moment. I think, and I wrote about this in the player ratings that'll be coming out any minute now, that a pre-season will be the making of Jota. See, once he gets that time to hone his craft, much like with Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn needed a pre-season to get to where he is currently, or where he was a few months ago. But now, I think when you see when Jota gets that game time, maybe even a qualifier thrown into the mix with the Champions League qualifier, the last one before the group stages or the league phase, hopefully for Celtic. Hopefully that can spur him on, because even though he is contributing with goals and assists at the moment, I still think there's another 2 or 3 gears for Jota to go up, and that's exciting, and it should be worrying times for the rest of the Scottish League and beyond, because I think there's so much more to come from Jota.
Without a doubt, he is playing at half pelt, I think. Another thing that I wanted to say, Maeda got the man of the match. Obviously, he was going to get that. That's fair enough. Hitting 30 goals for the season, good on him. But round of applause, Ryan, for Viljami Sinazalo and Mike Nawrowski.
Absolutely.
I think they were absolutely...
Particularly the latter, Tony.
Yes, I'm delighted for Sinazalo keeping a clean sheet. And he was busy the first 10 minutes and he did it really well. The great close-range save from, I think it was Lewis Nelson's point-blank effort. Did it really well and he cut out the low cross that came in. Real dangerous low cross. He made that look very easy. But I tell you what, Mike Nawrowski, just big up to him. That's 2 good games he's had on the bounce. And what I did notice about him today, Ryan, you'll probably notice it yourself, he is pretty solid in the air. He won a lot of good headers today. And with a wee bit more game time, I think Celtic could have another really good central defensive asset. And as you're talking about there, a good pre-season behind them. Just wipe the slate clean and do what you were brought in to do, because you're an imposing figure there. You're a big lad and you can use all those attributes to your advantage.
Yeah, first of all, on the point of Sinisalo, I was very impressed. I was impressed with something that he did in the second half as well, because it looked as if there was a moment where Hearts could have been in, and it looked as if he might collide with the Hearts attacker. Instead of going with one foot, he goes with the other one and just passes it out of play or passes it into the middle of the park. And in doing that, doesn't collide with the Hearts attacker. I thought that was really intelligent play from the young goalkeeper. There's definitely something there to work with, and I hope that he's just developing nicely in the background. He's going to get his game time from now until, it's good that it isn't as serious as first feared for Kasper Schmeichel. Schmeichel won't need an operation, said Brendan Rodgers before the game, which was mightily good news. But I want to see more of Sinisalo. I want to see him getting this run of games. I want to see him against St Johnstone, both away from home and at a neutral venue at Hampden in a couple of weeks' time as well, or in a few weeks' time, whenever it is. And then on the point of Nawrowski, I don't think he broke sweat today, if I'm being honest with you. I thought he absolutely strolled it. I said that at half-time, and he made one mistake in the whole game where he sliced a ball. I sliced a clearance, but I'm going to let him away with it because I thought he was so solid. Yes, he was good in the air, and I agree with your point that he looked very imposing in the air. But I was just as impressed, if not more so, with his passing. There's a pass that he makes in the lead up to the third goal that is a cutting pass from the defence, and it's not the first time that he's done this, because he did this against Rangers for Kyogo's goal in the 2-1 win a couple of Christmases ago, which was brilliant play from the player. So it shows that he's got that in his repertoire. I think the only thing that will be holding him up is his lack of pace at the back. I wonder if that's maybe the reason why he's not been playing. Is that he's not as pacey. But, if he's good enough defensively, and if you're good enough and you're quick enough to make decisions, then pace shouldn't be an issue, because you should be able to defend from the back. He looks like another good option. I don't understand why he's not played for this amount of time. I know he's had niggling injuries, but he passes the eye test with flying colours. When you watch him, that's 2 games in a row. He's not really put a foot wrong, and I'm hoping that he can provide some competition for Scales and Trusty, because you've got Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty, Liam Scales, Dean Murray in there as well, and Mike Nawrowski. That's a great depth of centre-backs for Celtic to use, both now and in the future. I was very impressed with him today. I thought he was the best centre-half on the park. I thought he was a lot better than Carter-Vickers, who was getting into a couple of tussles with Kabangu in the opening stages. I thought it was a bit of a battle between those two.
Yeah.
Did settle into it, but I thought that Mike Nawrowski was the better defender out of the two on the day.
Yeah. Hazel Finn coming in and saying she's pleased for Sinazalo, clean sheet, keeping a clean sheet. I'm trying to flick the comment up, Brian, but there we go. Yep, pleased for Sinazalo, clean sheet will do him a lot of good. I think that too. But yeah, Stevie Kelly saying, I think Rocky at the back was solid. I thought he was solid as well. Ryan, we spoke at the top of the programme before the pre-match game, and we said, just win and make it 3 wins away from the title. That's 3 wins that Celtic need. Could clinch it first game after the split. But I thought my only, I won't say it's a concern today, but my only gripe about today was a sluggish start. Could have been a goal down before they dragged themselves in, and then after 17 minutes, I thought it was only going to be one winner. Once they scored, started to hit their groove, but it took them a while. It took them that up until that point to really kind of get into the groove of the game, Ryan. And I was a wee bit perturbed about that, but not overly concerned, but still a bit sluggish for me, you know?
Yeah, and I actually think that, and this is going to sound so weird saying this, but I actually think the sluggish start helped them in the long run, weirdly, because I think Hearts thought that, right, Celtic are struggling here, maybe we can get something for this game. So they pressed them and pressed them and pressed them. But Celtic hit them, and Celtic were ruthless. It was akin to that Aberdeen game that happened maybe a month or so ago, where they weren't playing that great, but they were just ruthless in front of goal. Maeda only needs one chance, and he'll score goals. That's actually one thing that I would say. I trust Maeda more in those 1v1 chances than I would when it was Kyogo in the first half of the season. And that's no slight on Kyogo, because Kyogo scored some cracking goals for Celtic in his 3 or so years at the club. But Maeda is bossing it in that role at the moment. It's his club at the moment. It's his team, and he's leading by example from the front.
He has clearly worked on that, Ryan. The manager's clearly said to him, you're a striker of repute for your country. You can do this. I'm trusting you to do this. So, but it's the way he runs through, Ryan, now, and he's very, very cool and composed and calm in these situations. When before, he would snatch at things and it would go all over the place, left, right, and centre. But he's now deadly. You kind of look at Maeda running through on goal now, and you think he's scoring. He's not going to miss.
There's people celebrating before the ball had even hit the back of the net. That's how confident they were that he was going to put that in the back of the net. And you watch the goal again. The good thing at half-time is that the stadium plays the goals again from the first half. And he opens his body up so well, and there's confidence. There's an air of confidence.
Craig Gordon's
just another great.
Craig Gordon's a big goalkeeper. He's a big guy as well, but so when he spreads himself, he's taking up a large chunk of that goal. So that's why I thought it was a really emphatic and controlled and calm and cool finish, because that's not easy when you're running at speed as well, to get it under control and in a split second to make up your mind what you're going to do. And when Craig's coming out, you're thinking that target's narrowing, but he made it look so simple.
He did. He's simplified his whole game. He's not been as rash as he has been. I think he's ironed out a lot of the problems in his game. That rashness is gone, and he's being more clinical. He's a player that's clearly in the prime of his career. He's happy where he's at, and I just hope that he's happy enough to
stay,
to commit his future even more so. Yeah, absolutely. I want him to use that Kyogo example. Look at what's happening to Kyogo at Rennes. Say the grass isn't always greener on the other side if you go for a move into one of these supposed top 5 leagues. Stay at Celtic and become a legend. You're already a hero at the club. You're a hero for what you bring off the ball. You're turning into a hero for what you're doing on the ball. Go and become a legend. That's what's on offer for Maeda. It's not out with the realms of possibility that people could call Maeda the best Japanese player to play for Celtic. That's there for him if he stays. And I'm enjoying watching him so much this season. He deserves the plaudits. He deserves the flowers. His bouquet of flowers that are going to come to him at the end of this season. But he deserves it because he worked so hard. There's not been a more deserving winner player of the year, you would say, coming than Maeda, because he single-handedly sort of dragged Celtic with his goals to the title, and he deserves all the plaudits that are coming his way.
I think
he's a lovable character, Tony, and it's so easy to get behind.
I think what we do know about him is he's very happy. He's always saying he's very happy at the club.
That's his phrase.
and I think there's a bit of devilment in him there, that he does that and tells the players whenever he's getting interviewed that's all he's going to say, because he just likes that. He smile likes up, when he's talking, and you just know he's at it. I'm very happy, very happy. It's just like, we know you're at it, because all the players love him as well, and they laugh when he says it. So long may that continue.
But he's happy. The supporters are happy. His manager's happy. Everybody's happy when it comes to Daizen Maeda at the moment. I'm going to have a look in more detail next week at this run that he's on in terms of consistent games where he's had either a goal or an assist Because I mean, apart from that game against Dundee United where he came on as a sub, he's been instrumental in absolutely everything for Celtic at the moment, and long may it continue.
And for me, Ryan, he is and should be, and hopefully will be, but he's the definition of a player of the year for me. You know, somebody, as you said, who has improved his game, but he's
improved every part of his game, Tony.
An incredible work rate, incredible application, incredible energy, and you know, he has scored 30 goals. He's been crucial and vital. His contribution has been utterly vital to the team, whether he's playing as the main striker, and bearing in mind you sold your main striker for 10 million quid in January, you know, and that was big shoes to fill, so he said, but he took to that seamlessly, and for me, that's what a player of the year is and always should be in Scottish football. Someone who makes a valid and stellar contribution to a team's season. He is well liked, certainly in his own dressing room. Don't know how well he's liked out with amongst his peers, but he just, to me, he is the stick-on and, pardon the pun, but runaway player of the year. It can be closer, it can be a tight call, but for me, he's the runaway player of the year this season. He really is.
I thought there was a bit of not a robbery. I don't want to say that because he obviously did have a good season last season with Lawrence Shankland. There's no comparison now this season. There's nobody. No. I can't even think of it, and maybe that's the way the league's been this season. Maybe Kuhn should have been one of those nominations for Player of the Year. He might still get a nomination for his contributions in the first half of the season. But when we look at the nominee, I think Daizen Maeda is a stick-on to win absolutely everything because there's been nobody else like him. I think that we probably add in Czerny as well, maybe a couple of other players that have done well in and around the season. But there's no contest. I think it's no contest. He's going to win the lot.
When it comes to these kind of awards, Ryan, there's also recency bias kicks in. So I half expect to see the likes of Czerny and Nicholas Raskin get nominated. But for me, I go back to that's recency bias. These guys have caught the eye recently. But Daizen Maeda has caught the eye the whole season. I mean, if he doesn't win it, then there's something wrong because he is the definition of a Scottish footballer of the year. And that's not me being biased. I just watch this player and I just think he's been utterly terrific.
Yeah, he has been. He's been absolutely tremendous. You mentioned a Belgian midfielder there, and there's been a lot of talk about this Belgian midfielder. But I thought the other Belgian midfielder, the one that's kind of been forgot about and all of the furore of the last 2 weeks, I thought Arne Engels was solid today. I thought he went about his business with a bit of class. Not anything flashy. He did attempt a back heel. There was a back heel that was attempted from. But I thought he just went about his business, as did Hatate. I thought Hatate did well. There was a great slide tackle in the build up to the third goal. It was Nawrowski that with the forward pass. It was then Hatate with the sliding tackle that puts it into Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn takes the ball and passes it to Maeda, who makes no mistakes from a couple of yards out. But I thought those two, as much as Callum McGregor maybe will steal the headlines for how good he was coming back into the side, I thought that Engels and Hatate were both great as well. And I think one of the biggest achievements, and I've spoken about this before, but I want to speak about it again. One of the biggest achievements that Rodgers has managed this season is the fact that Hatate can last longer in games now. He's got a second wind, and his importance in late on in games is shown. Maybe not so much today, but you look at that last game against Rangers where he scored the equaliser on the day. He's having that influence in games that after 60 minutes you thought that his race was run, but now he's lasting longer. He's lasting 70, 80, 85 minutes. And that's great to see. I like to see that development from the player. It shows that him and Rodgers, those pictures I remember in pre-season of the two deep in conversation in that pre-season friendly. He's hammering at home to Hatate, and Hatate's listening, to his credit. Yeah. So they're both quietly going about their business, but I was impressed with the two of them, and I thought it would be unfortunate and unreasonable not to mention the two of their efforts today.
Yeah, I thought everybody, it was a solid performance today, Ryan. Clinical and professional, got the job done. And what pleased me greatly was also seeing Bernardo and Forrest come off the bench. I was delighted at that. I'll certainly see them on the bench and, come on. But Bernardo especially, you know what I mean? Terrific to see him back. And as I say, that's the case study now. How many times did they give it away? Because I don't think he gave it away once. And just that kind of, when you've been out for so long, it's maybe hard to get back into the swing of things. It's as if he'd never really been away. So I'm delighted with that. And just looking at the bench, it was a lot stronger, Ryan. And I was pleased with that because you'll need that in the run-in, in the games that we're trying to hopefully win the sixth treble or ninth treble, sorry, in 6 years. What is it? Yeah, the ninth treble, indeed. And the sixth treble in 9 years. So, yeah, it's you'll need everybody. So it's good to see them all coming back to full fitness because they'll all get game time hopefully in the 9 games that are now left in the season, including 2 in the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, the days of just 11 men performing on the day are long gone. Now, granted, there was a lot of subs made in the second half because the game was over as a contest, and it's all about keeping players fit, giving players game time. But in tighter games, you need more than just 11 men on the park. You need to be able to bring players off the bench. I think that was maybe Celtic's problem last time out against Rangers, was that they didn't have the options on the bench to impact games coming off it. The personnel just simply wasn't there. You bring Trusty back into it. I know he didn't get off the bench today. You bring on Forrest, Bernardo, McCowan, Ida, Ralston's in there as well. These are all guys that can make a difference for Celtic in games. And the squad depth is important. The squad depth wasn't there 2 weeks ago, but it was here today. And even though it wasn't necessarily needed in terms of the outcome of the game, it's important to have it in case they're in a tight spot and they need players to build them out. They know that they'll get players that can come on and make that impact. I totally agree with you. I was delighted with the ovation, especially that Paul Bernardo and James Forrest got. Important players to Celtic. They're winners coming onto the park. They know what's expected of them. And they know what is required at the club. And when they were brought on, I really enjoyed that ovation that they got from the crowd. And I enjoyed the ovation that the crowd gave the players when they were coming off the park. They understood that Kuhn had a better game today. Hatate had a good game. McGregor was instrumental for 60 minutes. Daizen Maeda, gets a standing ovation. When doesn't he get a standing ovation at this point in time? It's more surprising when he actually gets taken off the park, for being honest.
Yeah, correct. And I was just delighted with the way they because it's a lot of time to stew over the last result, isn't it? But I just thought that just everything about it today was on point. From the moment they took the lead, I just felt that Celtic were going to go on. The only surprise to me was in the second half that they didn't add to their tally. But game management, Ryan, I'm all for that. Just, the job was more or less done in the first half. You don't need to bust it. If you can add to your tally, so be it. But the 3 points were kind of done and dusted in the first half. Oh, here we go. Obviously, Ryan's.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right, Ryan.
All good. Sorry, what were you saying? Sorry, I muted it ever so slightly.
No, not at all. I can understand that. I was just saying that it was great. That it was game management basically the second half, and it was the only surprise was they maybe didn't add to their tally, but the hard yards were done in the first half, and if they could have added to their tally, great. But just it's all about game management, being professional, and they were solid in that first half, and more or less the points were safe in the bag. Colin Rodgers is coming in there saying very professional. That's exactly what I thought today about Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, they didn't need to go and score more goals. The game was over as a contest. Yeah. They could it was a bit of a procession in the second half. But given the way that some games have been recently for Celtic, we'll take that all day long. They're allowed to have a breather. It's the business end of the season. Goal difference will not be an issue. The points difference, hopefully, at the moment it's sitting at 16 points. We'll see how that game goes. I know that Dundee are currently 1 goal up against Rangers at this moment in time. We'll see how that goes by full time. But Celtic have done their business today. They done their business. They did their business in the first half. The game was over as a contest in the first half. They could make some changes in the second half. And it was just a procession. But that's a positive. I want games to be like a procession for Celtic. if the complaint is that there's not enough happening in the second half because the game's over, then that's a complaint I'll make every day of the week, because I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, I did love Celtic's attitude today, I have to say. And as I say, that it's been a long 2 weeks, Ryan, waiting for this game to come around. But they got their mojo back today, I felt, at certain times.
We needed that today, Tony.
Some of the passing I thought was terrific. The goals were great. Just everything about it. There was a bit of a flow to it today. And yeah, the first 10 minutes apart. And even Sinazaro, when he was called into action, was excellent. So, and, you know, various others that we've singled out for praise. So I think it's a job well done, Ryan. And, you know, pat yourself on the back, and takes you another step closer to the title. 3 wins needed at this moment in time. It might not be after tonight, with Dundee currently 1 goal ahead, but that's something that's out with Celtic's control. But yes, Ryan, it's for once, or for the first time in 2 weeks, we are smiling at the weekend.
It's been a long 2 weeks, Tony. It's been a really long 2 weeks since that game. I remember doing the video outside Celtic Park. Couldn't even do it here in a normal spot because of the away fans. We're just doing it in a different spot. I'm glad to be back just outside Celtic Park, where you can see it in the distance. And yeah, we're smiling again. We'll see what happens in the other game tonight. But Celtic have done their business. They've controlled the controllables. They've done their job. They've done their bit. And now we'll see what happens. But a very happy Saturday so far. In fact, it doesn't even matter what happens in the other game. Celtic did what they needed to do, and delighted with another 3 points, 3 goals, 2 more for Daizen Maeda, a goal for Jota, some great individual performances, no injuries by the looks of it as well, and we move on to the next game against St Johnstone next week.
Anything else catch your eye, Ryan, that you wanted to mention, or anything?
I'm going through the squad. Johnson was a lot better today as well. A couple of really good tackles, good forward play. You know, he couldn't have been much worse after the 2 weeks. Yeah.
They had an all-time
low, that,
2 weeks ago.
I think we've went through the whole team. Kuhn was good today. Jota was, I think Jota's getting there. He's still contributing. There's still a ways to go for him. But yeah, I think we've covered everybody. But just a professional performance today. Do the job in the first half. Second half can take your foot off the gas ever so slightly while maintaining the ball. Really good ball retention. And yeah, we'll just move on to the next game. 1 step closer to winning that league title. You know, let's bring it on.
Indeed. Currently on course to win it in the first game after the split, Ryan. We shall see who that will be against in due course. But guys, thank you for joining us. With over 300 people joining us on the live stream, we appreciate it. We always do. And we shall see you again on Monday. We will go over it all again, Ryan, and then look forward to the St Johnstone game in due course. But always result dependent. I say it all the time. Happier weekend, Ryan.
Absolutely, it makes your weekend, makes or breaks. That's what happens. Even when you're covering Celtic, it makes your weekend. But thankfully for Celtic, they've saved the weekend, and yeah, we'll see what's happening in the other games. But Celtic have done their job, and we move on to the next game.
Nice one. Well, whatever you're doing, guys, have a brilliant weekend. They say we'll be back on Monday. Don't know who will be on with Hamish, but it'll be someday, and we'll talk all things Celtic all over again. Maybe Daizen Maeda's contract will be renewed by that point, Ryan. We shall see.
I think that's what we're all waiting on.
Yeah, indeed. Have a great weekend, sir. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.
Cheers, guys.